Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our state and local industry day. And today we have the New York State Public Health Core Fellowship Program with us. Really excited about the opportunity to have them come and speak about the work that they're doing and the opportunities that they have. So with that, if you all want to introduce yourselves.
Okay, great. Welcome everyone. My name is Sarah Walker and I'm the Fellowship Placement Coordinator for the Finger Lakes region in New York State. And I'm joined by Molly Ridley, who is my colleague who covers the Mid-Hudson region. We also have the Assistant Director of our program on, Erin Norrell. And we really want to thank you so much for allowing us to present about our program, which is the New York State Public Health Core Fellowship Program. Before I dive in, I have a few housekeeping announcements. First, if you could please stay muted throughout the presentation, except during the end for questions, that would be greatly appreciated. And questions are welcomed in the chat box throughout the presentation. Please send your questions to everyone in the chat. Maneuvering between two screens. Okay, I don't see the slides any longer. Is that the same for everybody else? Erin, are you seeing slides?
Yep, they went away.
Okay. So while they're being pulled up, I will be, I can just run through our objectives today. So we have three primary objectives. First, we're going to introduce the New York State Public Health Core Fellowship Program, which we sometimes refer to as NYSPIC. And secondly, explain the fellowship positions and levels, as well as professional development opportunities that fellows will experience in their fellowship role. And third, explain how to apply to become a fellow within the local and state health departments, because we really want to familiarize you all with the process. I'm just going to check in with Molly. How's it going?
Can you see them now?
Perfect. Yep, they're right here. So good. So we're now going to just review the agenda, and this will give you an outline of what we're covering today. We're going to start with a program overview. Then we'll discuss fellowship placement and the various settings where fellows can be placed. We'll then turn to professional development opportunities. These can range from mentorships to various educational activities. Then we'll provide you with some fellowship examples, because we really want you all to see the variety and diversity of positions within our program. And then we'll show you some information in next steps in terms of applying. All right, next slide, please. All right, so now we're going to start with our NYSPIC program overview. So how did we begin? The New York State Public Health Core was formed in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Announced in January of 2021, our goals are to first bolster the state's public health infrastructure by mobilizing public health fellows across the state to provide critical support and services to local health departments, or LHDs. Secondly, effectively communicate with and educate New Yorkers about key strategies that address public health efforts. And thirdly, facilitate connections among the community level public health stakeholders that are required to strengthen and sustain public health learning and action partnerships.
Okay, so my name is Molly Ridley. As Sarah mentioned before, I'm the Fellowship Placement Coordinator for the Mid-Hudson region of New York. This is an organizational chart of the New York State Department of Health, which shows the statewide structure of the entire DOH. You can see, you should be able to see two like gold stars on it. So our program falls under the Office of Public Health. And then within the Office of Public Health, we are part of the Office of Public Health Practice, which is currently headed by Laura Santilli. So the New York State Public Health Corps, or NYSPIC, as we call ourselves internally, has a total of 10 regions, which are all overseen by fellowship placement coordinators, or FPCs. That's Sarah and I. This map is color-coded by region. And this slide includes the names and contact info for their respective FPCs. Please note, New York City is not a part of the New York State Public Health Corps, as they have a separate and entirely unaffiliated Public Health Corps program. The FPCs are regionally based, as I said, and we are here to serve as a resource to fellows, mentors, supervisors, local coordinators, and the local health departments. Some of our roles and responsibilities include communicating and providing support to local health departments or host organizations, as well as local coordinators, fellows, and mentors. We also assist with the placement of New York State Public Health Corps applicants into appropriate fellowship positions. We work closely with fellows and host organizations to provide ongoing support throughout the fellowship. And we create and manage a regional public health consortium on a quarterly basis, and we provide support to the mentor program. So you should see on your screen now just a small table that has the numbers of hired fellows to date. So you can see that total statewide, we have 304 fellows that have been hired to date, 269 are active. Some of them have gone on to, which is really the goal of the whole program, have gone on to take full-time or permanent positions in local health departments, or we've also had a few be hired within the State Department of Health into full-time permanent positions. But by and large, most placements are at the county level at local health departments. We also have opportunities, fellowship opportunities at the state level, which you'll hear more about later in the presentation. And we'll talk about the application process for both county and state positions towards the end of this session. So now we'll talk about fellowship placement, and we'll talk a bit more about who and what fellows are. So we are seeking applicants with a range of backgrounds and experience. While our initial target was recent graduates and those in the allied health fields, it is very clear that public health is really for everyone. Some examples of fellows that we currently have working are clinicians. So what I mean by that, I know of a few nurses that are working as fellows, as well as dentists. Just a side note that they are working, they're working in non-clinical positions as fellows. We have at least one lawyer. I have one of my fellows has like 20 years of HR experience. And I have an LC who used to run a toy company. So we also have new grads and entry-level fellows. So, you know, this is really, we have taken people from all walks of life, and it also shows that there's interest from people of all walks of life into public health. So whatever your expertise, whatever your experience, communities all over New York State need your help, and you know, we'd love to have you. Most fellowships are usually 1 to 2 years in length, varying based on needs of the local health department and the hiring entity. We also have, so we have 3 levels or tiers of fellows. Fellows usually have an associate's or bachelor's degree, but often a high school diploma with documented experience is considered or taken instead. And as far as what you do as a fellow, you're generally completing tasks and activities and contributing to a collaborative environment. A graduate level fellow has a master's degree or relevant experience, comparable relevant experience. And as far as the duties that a graduate fellow is doing, they're executing activities independently and assisting with the coordination of project level tasks. And then senior fellows have a doctoral degree or comparable relevant experience, and they're really providing specialized technical support and project level management. Just a side note that the hiring entity, local health department, or HRI, for example, make the final determination on fellow qualifications, duties, and pay.
All right, we're now going to turn to some areas of professional development that fellows can expect from participating in our program. In addition to being immersed in public health work, a hallmark of our program is professional development. Next slide, please. Okay, so this slide outlines some professional development opportunities that fellows can expect from our program. First, we work really hard and seek to have all fellows paired with a mentor. Mentors volunteer or are recruited by local health departments and their public health network partners to serve as professional role models for fellows and act as technical advisors. In this role, they facilitate the fellows' peer learning and provide relevant mentoring, career planning, and navigational support within the local public health landscape. They can further support fellows if they encounter, new situations or potential challenges in their roles. Secondly, as Molly mentioned a little bit earlier, we provide regional consortia for fellows. And the goal of these regional consortia meetings are for fellows and program partners to meet virtually on a quarterly basis to provide opportunities for additional education, network, real-time discussion on current public health topics, and other opportunities to support fellows' growth. Third, NYSPIC provides all fellows with the opportunity to participate in Cornell University's Public Health Essentials Certificate Program. This is a requirement, but for fellows that have a master's in public health, they may apply for a waiver if they choose not to participate in that opportunity. We also expose fellows to local public health partnerships, including participation in coalitions and stakeholder groups. And we believe that involving fellows in these local public health partnerships really fosters their involvement in making community public health connections. To further enhance fellows' professional development, we coordinate an annual NYSPIC Summit, which brings together program partners from around the state. And we held our very first one just this week. It wrapped up yesterday, and it was just a really amazing experience, just especially with it being the first year and bringing us all together and all the fellows together across the state. Our next slide explains our NYSPIC educational series, which will be starting in December. Sessions will focus on public health topics that are relevant to fellow projects and interests and are really based on the core competencies of public health. So you can see some of them here. What will be focused on are, there's going to be budget and financial management. That's going to kick off our first event in December. They will move to policy engagement, database decision-making, JEDI, and change management. And we have also been receiving some requests about grant writing. So that's something we're going to be integrating into the series as well, because it's such a valuable skill for people to have. And guest speakers come from the New York State Department of Health or a variety of other areas. So we are going to be bringing in some of our statewide IHE faculty as well to present. So we're really excited to be rolling that out to the fellows, and they seem really excited about it as well. Okay, this is part of probably my favorite part of the presentation, because we get to show you some really amazing examples that the fellows are working on. So again, before reviewing the application process, we will provide you with some real world fellowship examples. Fellows public health work centers around various focus areas that the host site prioritize based on their regional needs. So these can be a number of different areas. They can be administration, communication support, emergency preparedness, epi and data support, laboratory reporting, partnership development, program planning and implementation, and last, vaccination and testing site support. And what's really great is that we're doing some initiatives. Certain regions are really connecting fellows in different counties based on their focus areas, so they can, just have peer learning opportunities, share resources, but it's really exciting to see these, these learning communities happening between our fellows and our regions. Okay, so this is an example of a fellow's work who is a graduate public health fellow. So I will just read this. Let me see if I can just make this my aging eyes. Sorry, that's so if I can, I'm so sorry. Trying to move this, it's blocking the.
Do you want me to read it? I
Yeah,
can
can you
read
do
it,
that? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like
No problem.
Okay, perfect.
No problem. So we have a graduate public health fellow who is working on a school youth survey report using data to analyze the factors leading to high drug overdoses in the district. In her analysis, she created a comparison chart with the use of cross-sectional data. She created a slide deck presentation for the report that drilled down the data by grade comparison, revealing gender gaps. She is continuing to work on the youth survey report so the schools in her county can implement a proper intervention strategy regarding substance abuse.
Okay, great. And the next slide, we wanted to give you an example of a local partnership. So I will just read that. So a community schools fellow established a new partnership with a health and wellness steering committee to provide health and wellness initiatives for schools. The partnership will work together to form vision, goals, objectives, and purpose. Establishing this partnership is a huge learning experience for her and an enriching opportunity to be a part of.
Great. So here's an example of or information on what we have another environmental health fellow working on. This fellow went on her first site visit to check up on a complaint for a failing septic system. She performed a dye test, which concluded that the septic system was failing. There are children living at this household, and the mother had an infected foot from the failing septic system producing sewage in the backyard. Due to the inspection, this household can receive the help and remediation it needs to protect the health of the family. She is excited to continue. This fellow is excited to continue to be out in the field serving the community. And then we have one last one. We have a public health educator fellow who is involved with planning and collaborating with partners for the Be Well committee in Livingston. She observed how collaboration can be effective. Be Well recently met and partnered with business owners and community members to plan a whole day event. This experience has given her insight into the importance of program planning, engaging the community, and the sharing of ideas and working together to address community health issues. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring you to our public facing website and show you or explain how to apply to be a fellow if you're interested. So this is the URL to get to the public health website. I'm going to stop presenting for a moment. Whoop. Okay, so you should all now be able to see a website that says New York State Public Health Corps seeking fellows to serve in New York State communities. So if you generally, if you Google search New York State Public Health Corps, or if you go to the www.ny.gov website, you'll be directed here to this page. There's a little bit of information about the fellowship program here. But the most important thing you want to look for here is apply to the New York State Public Health Corps. So I'm bringing you here. I'm sure you are all able to figure out how to actually go about applying. But I wanted to bring you here because I wanted to show you some examples of fellowship positions that we actually currently have open. So this button here that says counties hiring, this will bring you to a listing of job openings by or fellowship openings, I should say, by region within the Public Health Corps. So in Capital District, Warren County has positions open for a graduate fellow and a fellow. You can see the level of fellow indicated here. You can see the topic area indicated. You can see if the position is part-time or full-time, and you can see if the position is in-person or remote. Most fellowship positions are full-time. There are a handful of part-time positions out there. And for the most part, they're mostly in person, but there are some LHDs. This is all on a case-by-case basis. There are some LHDs that are able to do hybrid or remote positions. So Central New York, Cayuga, Onondaga, and Oswego County have openings. The Finger Lakes, where Sarah is, Chemung, Schuyler, I can never say that right. I'm very sorry if I mispronounce that. Seneca and Steuben counties have openings. In Long Island, Suffolk has openings. In Mid-Hudson, which is my region, Dutchess, Orange, Sullivan, and Westchester all have openings. And so on. So you can see the different positions that could be open. Please keep in mind when you submit an application to the fellowship program, you're not applying to a specific position, you're applying to the fellowship. And then we distribute your application based on the county preferences that you indicate. All right, and then let's get back to the presentation. Okay. The website also contains an FAQ section and a general overview of the program. Okay, and I'm going to turn it over to Erin for a few minutes.
Thanks, Molly. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the Department of Health fellowship opportunities. So as Molly and Sarah noted, majority of the fellowship positions are at local health departments, and they have the discretion to also have fellows placed at community-based organizations. But about 1/10 of those fellows, so around 100, were allotted for the state health department. And it's important to note that the state health department is actually located across the state. So I've noted in kind of those black diamonds where we have our district, our regional, and then our capital office as well. And we do have, I think, almost fellows in each of these locations as well. The thing about state health department fellows are an additional applications required. So I'm going to walk you through that. Based on how we're hiring and recruiting fellows, you'd actually be applying for each individual position. There's a number of fellowships available in many different programmatic areas. So we have some at Wadsworth Lab, where we have others working on environmental health. So just showing, Molly kind of gave the overview of the state health department and how it's broken up. I've just kind of noted here where we currently have fellows or where there are fellowship projects planned. I think Molly showed, or Sarah showed, we had like roughly about 48 fellows hired already for the state health department, but we have noted, I think about now 112 total. So I would encourage you to continue to check on Health Research Inc.'s website, and I'll go over that shortly. You know, throughout the coming weeks and months, new projects will continue to be identified and posted there. So next slide. So as I mentioned, all state health department fellows are going to be hired by Health Research Inc. They're a 501c3, and they do hiring on behalf of the health department a lot of time when projects are tied to federal money. So right now we're funded through 2 CDC grants through 2024. Sarah, Molly, and myself are actually all Health Research Inc. employees. You still get many of the same benefits, including a pension, a state pension. And so all of our fellows are hired through HRI. This is their website, and I'll put it in the chat when we conclude too, that way you have it. You have to apply for each position on HRI's website. The nice thing is that, like, once you upload your resume, it's saved, so it kind of makes for fast applying, if you will. And the other important thing to note, because HRI is recruiting, across all of the state health department, or in many areas, our positions always will have NSPIC fellowship program in parentheses after the formal position title. So next slide. So here we can see that there's a position for a senior contract coordinator in the HIV, STI, HCV prevention program. Grade 20 indicates that it's a senior fellow position. So we have kind of those same levels. You won't see fellow, grad fellow, senior fellow in the actual title. It's based on grade. But as you can see in the proper title, it's got NSPIC fellowship program in the parentheses for it. And then the other two on here don't. So that's the easy way to figure out if it's a fellowship position or not. Next slide. And then here is just, so once you click on it, right, in that hyperlink, it'll give you more information about the actual fellowship position, including what the minimum qualifications are, the preferred quals as well. And all you have to do is click that apply for this position. It'll take you to a dashboard. So if you haven't applied before, you'll set up an account, upload your resume, fill out a few things. But again, once you're on that dashboard, it makes it very easy to apply for additional positions as well. And then, so these are not NSPIC opportunities, but I thought since we're talking about governmental public health, I talk a little bit about some other opportunities at the state. So if you're interested in New York State Department of Health positions in general and what's being recruited for, not just fellow positions, you can go to health.ny.gov/employment. And you'll see there's a spot where you can look for open competitive exams. So that would be, I would imagine, almost all of you, unless you've taken a civil service test. There's those positions there. And then there's also HRIs listed on there, in addition to positions that require a promotional exam for existing Department of Health or New York State employees. As I mentioned, Health Research Inc. does a certain amount of hiring for the New York State Department of Health. I've been an employee of HRI for almost now 12 years. Again, a lot of the positions are those, they do not require a civil service test, and a lot of the positions are tied to federal grants. So I always encourage people to check out that as well. And again, you get many of the same benefits as working for the New York State Department of Health. The other thing I wanted to highlight is what's called the Professional Career Opportunities Examination. So it's a test that's offered every few years. It's the first time since COVID. And really, it's your gateway into New York State government if you're interested. The test is kind of general, so it covers about 150 different positions across New York State agencies, including 26 that are part of the New York State Department of Health. So if you're interested in working for New York State government, I'd highly recommend taking that test. I think you have until until the 30th to register for it. And then there's some additional timelines after that, but I think it's about $35 to $40 to take it. But again, it's a great gateway into working for the New York State government. And then I don't want to forget about our local health department. So each local health department has their own civil service test as well. So if you're interested for working for a local health department, I would suggest kind of checking out their individual websites to find what positions are being offered in addition to what exams. Okay, so that's it from us. Does anybody have any questions?
So I did see a question in the chat, and it said, I noticed there are no senior fellow positions available for PhD students. Are any of these fellowship positions expected to open up soon? So I know Erin highlighted the one, that's through the state. Different fellowship levels can open up at any time with the local health department. So that's what's available in real time now, because we do have a designated staff person that is updating that public health public facing website. So we would just really encourage you to just keep a pulse on it. Things can change pretty regularly. So I just wanted to mention that.
I will say too, I think we're going to be anticipating, so we received a no-cost extension from CDC for the program. So I've heard, anecdotally from several counties that they're thinking about adding on additional positions. We also have fellows that are hitting the 1 year mark and maybe, looking to move on for another opportunity. So again, as Sarah said, I would check back. The other thing I would say, if you're very interested in a region, and again, you've got a unique skill set, that PhD, I definitely think it's worth a conversation with the fellowship placement coordinator. They can link you up with the health department to see, if there is an opportunity. We've had a few instances where someone came in at a fellow level and was able to kind of advocate for themselves and went up to a grad fellow. So I think, if you're interested in an area, I definitely would encourage you to apply. And I don't know, Sarah or Molly, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think that's a perfect point, Erin.
Yeah, I agree. That covered it. Now, if you have any general questions about the fellowship program, or you want contact info for one of us, you weren't able to get it from the previous slide, you can always email the email address that's on your screen right now, nysphcfellows@health.ny.gov. That is a mailbox that's monitored by one of our admins, and she distributes the emails as appropriate. The QR code that's on your screen should link you to the public facing website that I went over before and bring you to the application screen. Please feel free to send us any questions, reach out anytime. I know that a recording of this session will be made available, so you can also get our contact info from the previous slides. So any other questions? Oh, looks like there's some questions in the chat. I can't see the chat.
So Erin actually just put in the information that you were sharing into the chat, but I do have a question for students that may be wondering, when it comes to the fellowships, what are maybe some skill sets or some qualities that they could be either seeking to develop or improve upon that they may already have that you feel like would be very, very favorable for the fellowships, or just things that they can kind of look to as takeaways when they are participating in the program?
You want me to take that one?
Sure.
Okay. So I would say, especially in talking to both local and state health department employees, one of the big things they'll say is they're always looking for epidemiologists, but anybody with any experience in epi. There always looking for that. That's obviously pretty specialized. In general, I would say that having some sort of experience with data and data analytics is helpful. But I have a fellow who is an expert in trauma-informed care and is working on educating the whole county, the whole LHD on trauma-informed care and what that means. We have other fellows working in environmental health. So it's really, it really varies greatly. I don't know that I would say that there's a specific skill set that overall everyone is looking for, because it really varies greatly from one county and one fellowship position to the next.
And this is
Definitely.
Sarah, I would agree too, like within my counties, definitely data and analytics. I think they're looking to fill, more positions in that area. So I think that's something that's a skill that's very appealing. But again, I think what's so great about this program is there's such a variety of different skill sets and needs. So like I have somebody that, is a substance use counselor and is now leading like an opioid task force. So there's just such variety. There's somebody with working in the Department of Social Services because she has some background with that. So she's a DSS fellow, a school-based fellow. So she has an education, an education background, but is doing initiatives like anti-vaping campaigns and things like that. So I think I think they're looking for people, that have good interpersonal and communication skills. So I think, just I think they're just a variety of everything.
Thank you. So we do have another question that's come through the chat. It says, do you require being within certain years of the PhD to be eligible?
No.
Yeah, so I will say, so a lot of times, right, it's the degree or relevant experience. So like to be that senior fellow level, I think like our website says you have it or within a semester of completing it. But again, if you've got some practical experience, prior to going and getting your PhD or while you're earning it as well, that can count. And again, we have some senior fellows that don't have a PhD, but they've had the real world public health experience in order to kind of give that higher level skill set or to be able to lead a project. So I wouldn't let that deter you from applying, for a position, even if you don't have that PhD. You can, I think there's a space as part of our application to say that you're working on it again. But yeah, we wouldn't disqualify someone from being a senior fellow if they don't have the PhD currently.
Thank you for answering that. Any other questions? Feel free to come off mute as well if you would like. Well, if not, I want to thank you all again for being here today with us and just sharing more information about the fellowship program and answering the questions that did come through. I will definitely be sending out the recording to everyone who is registered. And then if you all are able to provide your slides, I could do that as well, send it out in a PDF form, just so that they are able to hold on to some of the information, like the contact information as you shared.
Hi, Olivia, I can send that to you after the meeting.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you so much again. I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and this concludes our State and Local Public Health Industry Day.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you. Have a good day.
Bye.